So I don't know if you've ever had the experience of just hoping that one day you're going to get a phone call, some manager from one of your favorite bands being like, "Hey, we came across some of your stuff. We're super impressed and we really need you in our band's lineup." Because that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the three bands that we would each like to join if given the opportunity. This was kind of tricky. This was a tricky one because at first I just thought, well, I'm going to pick my favorite bands. But then the more I got into it, the more I was like, I don't know if I want to be in some of my favorite bands because it may not be that much fun. Like I
I
may
don't
not
want
have
to
a great
mess them up.
experience.
I don't want to screw up my band.
That's true too. Was this an easy list for you? Was this a hard list for you?
One and two came easy. And by the way, yes, I do set aside times to just look at my phone and wait for some kind of communication from somebody being like, you're really good. Could you come and play with us? Yeah, but gosh, one and two came really easy. Third, I had to kind of wrestle with a little bit, but how fun would that be if just, you know, um, I'm going to say Graham Coxon called you and was like, hey, I can't ever get Damon to want to do anything. Would you like to come be the front man of Blur now?
See, now I'm scared to death. At first, I thought you were going to say, Graham gives me a call and he's like, "You want to be second guitar for this round of gigs? Just to help me out on a couple songs." Now I got to replace Damon and I'm a little
No, he
scared.
wants you to help him write songs and be the band leader.
I'm just they've just plugged me in for Damon. I mean, I would have to do it. I'd have to do it. It may
You
not go
don't
so
say no
well.
to that job.
You don't say no to that. Well, I kind of was, so I also had three, went back and forth. I thought about this probably way more than either one of us intended, but I do have my three. I know that you have your three too. What do you say we start with number three, work our way to
Yes,
number one,
I would like that.
and you go first. You have the floor.
Okay, well, perfect. I just mentioned Damon Albarn. In a dream world, Damon calls me and says, "Hey, man, uh, why don't you come be a guest artist on my new Gorillaz album?" And then I get there, and he loves my work so much. He's like, "I just want you to be a permanent fixture in Gorillaz. Can you please just collaborate with me constantly?" And so I'm like, "Amanda, what should we do? Is this going to work out for our family?" But then after wrestling with it, I had to take him up on it and join Gorillaz.
So from here on out, it's not just Damon and Jamie Hewlett. It's now Damon, Josh, and Jamie Hewlett doing the
Yes.
visual stuff. I love it.
And what he wants me to do, if you're wondering what my role would be in Gorillas, I mean, he just wants me to pull out every tool in the bag and just like let's don't limit ourselves. And he wants me to pick up new instruments. So yeah, I'm playing a lot of instruments. I'm rapping a little bit. And then Damon and I are just singing like Simon and Garfunkel harmonies on some acoustic tracks. And we're pretty much like the new vocal duo songwriting prowess. What's your number three?
Wow, that was amazing. I that was really close for me. I really thought about that one. I was like, Gorillas would be great because it would be so much fun. But instead, my number three, I I don't know if you call this cheating or not, but I went with Parliament slash Funkadelic.
Oh
I'm gonna
my
get in a time
gosh.
machine and I'm gonna be in
Oh,
P Funk.
that's
That's
amazing.
that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be one of the few white people to ever have been in P Funk. And they're gonna love me. They're gonna love me. I'm gonna step in there. I've got my guitar handy. That's what I'm doing. So many people coming in and out through the door, and it's just like you get to be on so many albums. You don't even know how many albums. You're just like in the studio doing stuff, and it's like, yeah, that's one record, that's another record. You're just like, you're just all over the place. You get to some guitar parts that I play will later be sampled by Dr. Dre or Kendrick or something, you know what I mean? The
Certainly.
live shows are going to be insane. It's going to be a party. There's going to be a big spaceship on stage. Like I get to play with Bernie Worrell and Eddie Hazel and just like and Bootsy Collins and George Clinton, and we're going to have a blast. They're going to embrace me. Even though the door keeps rotating, I'm just going to be a permanent fixture in the studio on the live tour, and it's going to go great. And I'm going to be just a happy member of P Funk. So that's my number
That's
three.
amazing. And you'll be the most like feared and revered member of the band because you know what they always say, like the one Caucasian fellow in a band or group full of African American gentlemen is usually the scariest of the bunch because what did he have to do to earn all their respect and trust? So, yeah,
That's right.
I think that's amazing, and I love your third selection.
I do kind of exude that intimidation factor. Like I think when people see me, they do kind of they tremble a little bit. So I think that's
It's
appropriate. But
it's
dude,
like
we
they check the exits. That's what they do. Is like let's just make sure we know how to get out.
that's right. Don't look at them right in the eye. That's what people think when they look at me. So we're off to a great start. What's your number two?
My number two, I'm looking. I was like looking over for notes, like I need to look at my notes. But I mean, I've been so excited to tell you this choice. Number two, when the phone rings and I answer the phone, it's Jimbo Mathis on the other line, and he wants me to play second trumpet in Squirrel Nut Zippers.
This is amazing. This
I've
is
always
amazing.
I've always wanted, so I'm a horn player for anybody that cares or didn't already know. Um and I've always told my wife since you get married and you have to play your favorite things for your spouse. And so when I would play perennial favorites for Amanda, I would always be like, my dream band would be this band. Like to play horn in a band like this just seems so much fun. I would that would just be amazing.
Dude, I love it. And that would be such a fun band. They also kind of have that vibe where it feels kind of like a party atmosphere almost. And a lot of people, if they're checking this out, if they've heard of Squirrel Nut Zippers, it's probably because of their hit single "Hell" from the '90s. But they actually had a really interesting body of work. And that album that you're talking about, Perennial Favorites, is one that you and I have loved for a very long time. And so I we'll have to
I,
talk about that one in greater
yeah,
detail.
for a horn player to be in a band where you can just play like instrumental music that's like fun, like people are dancing to your music and nobody's singing and it's just like upbeat and exciting and that is just like you said, it's a party social album that is super fun, and I think that style of music for somebody that plays horns like myself is just so much fun to be a part of. What's your number two?
Number two for me, I'm going to get into the indie world scene here and go with a band called Animal Collective. I don't know how familiar you are with Animal Collective,
A
but
little bit.
man, so good. One of my favorites, especially like of this century that we're currently in. The thing I really like about Animal Collective is, first of all, I mean, it's a collective, right? Like so many of the bands that I thought about, if I were going to join, I just knew I'm not going to have much of a voice. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be heard. And I know that if I'm in Animal Collective, obviously you've got Avi Terra and Panda Bear, geologist going on. So like there are obviously some strong musical instincts already in place, but I do feel like if you're part of the collective, they're going to listen to you. They're going to let you in on the mix collaboratively you're going to be able to get in there. So I like that idea. I wouldn't pick up my guitar at all. I would do like sampling and maybe some synthesizers or something like that, right? But these guys seem so laid back and just so chill. Like they collaborate on each other's solo albums. Panda Bear just had an album that came out that was really good. And apparently they just recorded it in Portugal where he lives, just kind of like just around his place. From what I've read, and that sounds like an environment that I would be all about. And their music is fun, but it can get wild. And I feel like it's kind of like, big ideas. Let's throw it all out there and see what sticks. Just seems like an environment that I'd like to be a part of. So yes, the thing that I have left out of these first of these two in the list is that I don't quite have the chops to be in any of these situations. Like George Clinton doesn't want me in P Funk because I probably can't hang. And Animal Collective would probably be like, bro, you're not bringing much to the table. So, but hey, it's a thought exercise. We're just having a good time here. So I'm not going to
That's
get hung
right.
up on the fact that I am not at the level of sampling or synths or anything like that as these guys are. But that's my number two.
Yes, I'm glad you said that out loud because I hope nobody thought that I could add anything to Gorilla's worth anybody listening to or Damon would even let me in the door. But yeah, I love that. So about what you said where I'm not thinking I'm joining, I'm not becoming the star of the show when I join these bands. I'm kind of the because that's what I was thinking with Squirrel Nut Zippers. I'm like, man, I don't want to replace anybody. I just want to be a part of the fun. Now, when I went crazy with Gorillas, I'm like, forget it. I'll just shoot for the moon. And on some of these, I was thinking, oh man, are there some of my favorite bands where like maybe the lead singer passed away? So I thought, oh man, what if Stone Temple Pilots, is it the DeLeo brothers? What if they called
Yeah.
me and said, hey, we want you to be our front man now? That would be fun. But yeah, to think that you could fill anybody's shoes or just take somebody's spot is nonsense. But yeah, I love Animal Collective. That's a great choice.
And speaking of the DeLeo brothers, they've made a couple of those phone calls, and they've certainly tried to do that with Scott Weiland. But yeah, no, okay. So this is it. This is the big one. This is the number one phone call that you're going to get.
I'm nervous because I'm worried we may have gotten the same phone call. When you talk about your second choice, I'm worried that your first choice is going to be the same as mine. So if it is, I apologize, and I hope I'm not stealing any of your thunder. But when my phone rings for number one, it's James Murphy on the other
I knew
end.
it. I
And,
knew it.
and he said, dude, we're having a lot of fun on this tour, and we sure would like for you to come hang out with us and add to it. And so, uh, if there's anybody more fun, where, you know, like you were talking about with Animal Collective. Although I feel like James Murphy's more of maybe a okay, I'm gonna do everything. Have I said LCD sound system yet? For somebody who doesn't know who James Murphy is, but I feel like he's like, look, dude, I've got everything that you need to play. Here's what you need to play. I've got it recorded. You listen to this, practice it, and then here's what I want you to play on this song. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm like, James, what do you want me to play? You want me to play cowbell on this one? You want me to just bang like a couple of drums? You want me to play bass on this one? I haven't seen any horns on stage, but I wonder if James would be against that. I'll be on the risers in the background singing in the choir. I don't care what you need me to do. Just can I please come be on tour with you and hang out with you guys?
When we talked about this is happening and we watched that, we each like separately watched that Madison Square Garden show, it looks like so much fun. And it's so funny you say that because it was on my list forever. It was on my list forever. And then I took it off my list. And because even in my fantasy where James Murphy has picked up the phone and been like, hey man, I came across your stuff from 20 years ago on Bandcamp and I just think you need to be a part of this. Even in that even in that crazy fantasy, he was still like, but I don't really need you on the album. I just need you to show up and do some stuff. And I was like, well, James, what are we doing here? You know, I need to be creative too, James. So then James and I had a little spat, and then I ended up not joining. So instead, I went in a time machine yet again, and I went back and joined the Clash. That
Oh,
was my number
oh
one.
yeah. Love it.
So I've always wanted to be in a punk band. Being in a punk band would be amazing. But you know what's not amazing is going and playing years of punk clubs where like teenagers are spitting at you and throwing bottles. And that's because they like you. That's not because they want you to get off stage. It's just how they communicate. That's their love language. So I don't necessarily need that. But if I join the Clash, I'm not only in a punk band, but I'm in a punk band that has the career of like a massive, you know, we're going to sell out stadiums type of career, and you're the biggest band in the planet, and you transcend punk, and your growth as a musician isn't like frowned upon. It's actually encouraged. They're a unique sort of punk band, and it's the Clash. I mean, you look at that body of work to be part of that. I don't know if I'm gonna have my voice heard as much. Like I might just be second guitar behind Mick, and that's fine. Like if that's where I have to be, I still get to be in the Clash. But man, I'd be part of punk history. I would not be broke, but I would still be in a punk band. I would get to have that aggressive raw energy, but still do really interesting stuff. And I'd get to work with Joe Strummer. So that is that, you know, what more could I ask for? So really looking at those three, you know, obviously I'm wanting to experiment a little bit. You can tell with my lineup here, I'm wanting to get a little out there with all of these picks, but I kind of want to have some sort of a voice, though admittedly, I'll probably be lowest on the totem pole. By the way, if James Murphy called me up and was just like, look, I need you to hit this tambourine like 2 times during the set. Do you want to come? I would be like, sign me up. I'm there right away. So yeah, that's where I'm at. That's my list. And yeah, how do you feel? How do you
I,
feel
lo-
looking
I
back
love
now?
your choices. Well, you just described your choices. I'm worried about my choices and what they say about me as a person, but I'm just like I'm just like, no, I deserve all of this. I'll be the best. Uh, I'll be as good as a songwriter as Damon Albarn. No, this was so much fun. I just love the exercise of um, just wishing and dreaming of what would be if there's no limits on imagination, what could be possible. Actually, I didn't do that because I was thinking about time machines and thinking, oh, should I go back in the past? But I wanted to do something a little more current. But gosh, this was so much fun, and I love the choices you came up with.
Same. I'm jealous of your list too, and I feel like, hey, if you're watching this, we got to know what bands you want to be in. Please list them in comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you like silliness like this, because we're just so full of it. But yeah, this has been fun, buddy. We'll do this. We'll find some other form of incarnation to play out our midlife fantasies in at some point in the near
Perfect.
future.
I can't wait.